So I said, first of all, be a mind power practitioner. Secondly, I'm suggesting to be an impactful leader, be an ethical leader. And then number three, be a critical thinking leader. Now again, going back to situations that we are decrying in Zim today, among many young adults. Again, I'll talk about Dombo. I'll talk about crystal meth. How do a lot of young people end up here? It's because they have not learned to be critical thinkers. A lot of young people get used as cow fodder by politicians, or they get used as cow fodder by mafia bosses of criminal syndicates. How do they get there? Because they have not learned to be critical thinkers. How do many young guys or young girls end up becoming sex slaves, in their own home country? It's because they're not, they're not being critical thinkers. Now, and what does it mean to be a critical thinker? Be a critical thinking leader. You see, don't be a follower. You see, refuse to be a follower. Refuse to be someone who just follows. Munanoiti squad, That's something that I refused and decided from a very early age. I decided I was not going to be just a follower. I was not going to be just someone that people got to doing stuff they wanted done. No. I said to myself, I'm going to be an initiator. I'm going to be, and I mean, the way I described it was, I'm a thermostat. I'm not a thermometer. You see, a thermometer registers temperature. A thermostat regulates temperature. So I said to myself, I'm going to be a thermostat and not just a thermometer. So how do you become a critical thinking leader? If you have that slide in front of you, rather than accept ideas and assumptions at face value, rigorously question them and trace the linkages between those ideas, rather than just accept ideas because it's written somewhere, or because it has been spoken by so and so, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what political party they belong to. It doesn't matter what reputation they carry with them, whether it's a reputation of having been, of carrying many academic qualifications or an incredible politician who achieved this and that. That doesn't matter, If you're going to be an impactful leader, develop yourself into a critical thinker, a critical thinking leader, rather than accept ideas and assumptions at face value, rigorously question them and trace the linkages of those ideas. And then with an open mind, determine if those opinions and arguments and propositions present holistic accounts. Do these propositions present wholesome explanations of what we are discussing here? Do they present wholesome, holistic? Do they present the total picture of what we're talking about here? And decide that for yourself. Don't allow someone else to decide for yourself. This is the total picture. This is the holistic account of what we're discussing. No, question and make the decision yourself. Determine, do these opinions or does this point of view and these arguments and these propositions, do they present the total picture, the total package of facts that have a bearing on this matter? And then you build your own arguments. That's what a critical thinker does. And then I think a lot of us in adolescence and in young adulthood kind of drop the ball because we don't train ourselves to become critical thinkers. We just accept ideas and assumptions at face value rather than rigorously question and look at the linkages, and then, let's adopt open minds and yet determine if others' opinions present convincing, total, holistic accounts of the issues at stake. And then number three, Rather than solve problems by instinct or intuition, apply systematic investigation and analysis. You see, take your time, don't quickly react, don't be impulsive. You see, knee-jerk, impulsive, reactions. Take your time, consider it, think about it, take time out to investigate, to analyze. And in that way, you avoid inconsistencies and errors, not only in your own reasoning, but in the reasoning of others. That's what a critical thinker does, You're not in a rush, you're not in a hurry, because you believe in yourself. You believe in yourself and you value yourself. You've got dignity. You're important. You got dignity, man. You got dignity. You're important. You got value. So you're prepared to take your time and analyze and critique. You just don't react by instinct or by intuition or just follow out, because everybody seems to be doing it. So you also just end up doing it. No, is everybody really doing it? So that's what a critical thinking leader does. And then be aware of how you justify your own personal values, assumptions, beliefs, likes. You have your own preferences. You have learned behaviors. So be aware of those. It's called emotional intelligence by some people. In some quarters, they call it emotional intelligence. But I think it's one very important aspect of critical thinking, being a critical leader. Always be aware of your own beliefs. Always be aware of your own values, which you have learned and developed. You've been socially constructed to hold these beliefs. So be aware of those, your learned behaviors, so that when you're aware of those, it helps you attempt high order objectivity. You want to be consistent with accurate explanation, so that you're able to say to yourself, this is my belief that I have always held, and yet even my belief at this juncture is not consistent with an accurate explanation of what we are dealing with here. I said in some quarters, they call it emotional intelligence, and I think it's an aspect of being a critical thinker. Emotional intelligence is an aspect of being a critical thinking leader. And then be committed to best possible solutions, in the prevailing conditions. What would be the best possible solutions here? And then, of course, finally, a critical thinking leader factors in future implications of decisions that you are making in your present investigations. You see, you don't want just to think like someone who's thinking in the moment for the moment. There's a future, and present decisions and present choices are seriously determinative of what's going to happen 10 years from now. So it's almost like a critical thinker is making decisions now with at least 10, 30 years 10, 30 years factored in. So factor in future implications of those decisions. So yeah, I'm invited for a party. I'm invited for a party, or I'm invited to get involved in a business deal. And this business deal is likely to explode in our faces 7 years from now or 10 years from now. But at the moment, it looks safe. The business deal looks lucrative, even for now and for the next 3 years or for the next 4 years. But because I'm a critical thinker, I'm going to ask myself the question, sustainability, longevity, sustainability, to what extent? I factor that in, and I make present decisions, informed by factoring in the future. So be a critical thinking leader if you are going to be an impactful leader. And then I think finally, as I close, then we'll have a discussion, because I would like to have an interactive with you. Finally, let's look at the final slide.